Hi, my name is Joy Wekesa. I am a nutritionist and the founder of the Healthierrr Solutions. Welcome back to my channel. So, today we are going to talk about feeding your children from infancy as they grow up. So, first of all, when you get an infant, immediately after birth, you're supposed to start breastfeeding at least 1 hour after you have given birth. So it is important for your child to get the first colostrum because it helps. It has a lot of nutrients and antibodies that help your children to get good immunity. So after breastfeeding, which you're supposed to do exclusive breastfeeding, which means only giving your child breast milk, apart from any medication that you'll be given by your doctor, your child is supposed to be on breast milk for the first 6 months of their lives. So you're not supposed to give anything like, let's say, water or salty water. No, you're not supposed to give those things. A child is supposed to be on breast milk exclusively for the first 6 months of their lives, unless they have been given or they have been prescribed medication by a doctor, but anything else is not allowed. So it is important for you to do that exclusive breastfeeding. It has several benefits for the child as well as the mother. Like, for example, exclusive breastfeeding helps with strong immunity for the child. This means they will not be getting sick every now and then. Again, it prevents things such as diarrhea because these things the child is not ready to digest during their first 6 months of their lives, and therefore even water is not allowed, and things such as diarrhea are prevented by doing that. It also helps with brain development. So when a child does exclusive breastfeeding, due to the nutrients that are present in the breast milk, that child is able to have good brain development, and this can be good even in their future lives. Again, exclusive breastfeeding helps in future to prevent diseases such as diabetes and hypertension. So it is very important for you to give your child a chance for exclusive breastfeeding so that they can get all these benefits and many more that I have not talked about here today. Again, exclusive breastfeeding has benefits for the mother. So when you're doing exclusive breastfeeding, it means you can be able to lose weight. It helps your uterus to go back in its original position. It helps you with bonding and many other things. So give yourself that chance to do exclusive breastfeeding when you get your child. But again, when you're doing that, you're supposed to eat well but not overconsume. There are some myths around that when you are breastfeeding, you're eating for yourself and for the child. No, you only need some sufficient amount of food and fluids for you to be able to produce enough breast milk, and that one will be enough for your child. Again, you need to practice good attachment practices so that your child is not ingesting gases which can lead to colic and many other complications. So always when you're doing breastfeeding, you need to see your nutritionist so that they can help you on how you need to attach the baby on the breast so that they are able to breastfeed well and get nutrients that we are talking about here. So for the first 6 months of a child's life, they're supposed to be on exclusive breastfeeding. Then at 6 months, you are supposed now to introduce other foods for the child, because now the breast milk will not be sufficient to meet the nutrient needs of a child. And here I know most mothers get a lot of problems because they don't know what to feed a child. They don't know if this food is good or not. But it's important when you are starting to introduce your foods to your child, um, you start slowly. You do not introduce a lot of foods at a go. Like, for example, what is recommended, you need to start with a starch. You can start with a light starch and make sure it has some vitamins, and you blend it to have a consistency like that of a porridge. Don't give your child porridge alone. Porridge alone will lead to things such as malnutrition, because I know even some people don't know how to cook well. But I'm not saying that you should not give porridge, but don't give it alone. but you can start with it as you progress to other foods. You go to liquids. You start with liquids, then you go to semi-solids, then you go to solid food as you observe your child and you're looking at their tolerance levels. So you start with a starch in a liquid form. You can start with that porridge, and then you progress to semi-solid foods, and then you go to solid foods slowly by slowly. Introduce one food at a time. Do not give a child a lot of foods or different types of food at the same time, because you want to observe things such as allergies and how they are tolerating certain amounts of food. At the start, you can even give 1 tablespoon, and then you see how they are tolerating, because it's something new and you need to introduce slowly by slowly. Even with proteins, when you are introducing proteins to your child, you introduce one at a time. You can start with something like, let's lentils, then you go slowly to you do it like a week, then after 1 week you introduce another type of protein. Slowly by slowly, as you observe allergies and as you observe tolerance levels of your child. So you go that way slowly by slowly, and then with time your child will be able to consume solids, and yeah, so that is something that you should be doing slowly. And then you're not also supposed to delay introduction of foods. You're saying at 6 months introduce. Do not wait until it is 8 months, or do not introduce foods early, like let's say 4 months. Wait until it is 6 months. That is when you are supposed to introduce foods to your child's diet. And then I know there are some challenges. There are children who are very picky eaters. When you're giving them food, they don't want to eat. You keep on trying. Your child does not know these kind of things you're giving them. So you try. I know there's a research that says when you give a child something 6 to 8 times, they will be able to accept it eventually. But you don't give them, if they've refused it today, you don't give them again tomorrow. You can be skipping days as you try different types of food and see what your child likes most. Because I know children are just human beings like us, and there are things that they would love more than others. But you introduce, if they're refusing that, you skip a day or two, and then you reintroduce again to see if your child is agreeing to it or not. So for the picky eaters, try to alternate days when you've introduced something and they don't like, until they accept to it. And then you can also try to eat with your children, because most children, or children generally, they try to observe what you're doing and they do the same. So when you are eating with them, most likely they will also eat, especially for the picky eaters. So it's important, if you have a picky eater, try to do what I'm telling you, the alternate days, and also eating with the child, so that they are seeing what you are doing and they are also doing the same thing. There's some things that I also need to add in regards to feeding your children, that is on spices. Do not give your children these strong spices that are on our shops, that we use to prepare things such as pilau, or that you would ideally put on your own food. Do not add spices to a child's food, because they still have sensitive taste buds and they don't want to have those strong spices. So avoid strong spices in your child's diet. Also avoid adding sugar. They are able to get enough sugar from the food that you are giving them, and they don't need to have sugar, because most people, even up to today, we are trying to avoid sugar. It's not something that you need to add even on your own food. So avoid adding sugar to your child's diet, because they are still developing their taste buds and they will eat what you're going to provide to them. Also, salt, it's something that it's supposed to be avoided a lot in your children's diet, because also their kidneys are not fully developed. So when you're adding salt, you add it like a pinch, or it should be tasted from very far. That is why we are also avoiding the spices, because of the added salts. So even the salt, when you're adding to your child's diet, it should be a pinch because of the iodine that we need it from the salt. But we know the kidneys of our children are not fully developed, and we do not want to overburden those kidneys. So yeah, salt is something that you need to look into so that you're not giving your children a lot of trouble. Again, to avoid constipation, you are supposed to give your children water. Try to give plain water. There's no need of adding salt or sugar in your water. Try to give your children plain water. With time, they will get used to what you're giving them, and yeah, eventually they'll be able to drink water without any problem. So introduce these things slowly by slowly, and I know with time my children will have good nutrition. Also, when you're preparing food for your children, it is important for you to observe hygiene. Hygiene is something that is very important because I know there are so many children who have died from diarrhea, and if it's something that we can avoid by just observing good hygienic practices, making sure that we are washing our utensils properly, making sure that when you're giving your children water, you give clean water. You don't need a lot of things to make your water clean. Just boil. When you get a clean water and you boil, I know all the microorganisms will be destroyed and the water will be good for your children. So ensure you're washing utensils properly, you wash your hands properly, you wash the foods properly during the preparation stages so that the children are not getting diarrhea and we are not compromising the immunity of the children. This is something that you should also educate the caregivers or the nannies if you are leaving your children with nannies at home, so that they also implement the same. Good hygienic practices cannot be avoided. You need to observe high levels of hygiene standards. Um, for fruits and vegetables, yes, blend vegetables in your child's diet as you progress, and don't just overburden or maybe introduce a lot of things at once. I've said one thing at a time. Even fruits, you can blend fruits and give them like 1 tablespoon. Children tolerate slowly by slowly, but with time they are able to consume the foods well. Yeah, so slowly by slowly your kids will be able to tolerate well. Again, I emphasize that make sure you are taking your children to clinic for immunization. It is very important for them, and also for them to be able to resist some diseases that can be prevented. I think I've been able to cover what I wanted to talk about today. Yeah, that is enough for the children. Make sure that you are following me and you are listening to all my videos, because I'm sharing very educative contents in terms of nutrition, how you can feed your family, how you can eat yourself, and how you can be able to manage other illnesses with nutrition. Please hit the subscribe button and also follow me on my other social media platforms. I'll be so grateful when you do that. Thank you so much for watching. Bye bye.